Hello once again. This is Tickets, Please Reviews. Want to talk about the Academy Award predictions that which will be coming up on Sunday, believe it or not. Time flies when you're having fun. Imagine that. Anyway, we're just going to take a quick look here at the predictions. I'm using a prediction confidence scale. You're going to notice this when we do the parentheses. 5 is about as sure a bet as you're going to get. 4 likely will win, but there's a possibility of a surprise. 3 is a decent chance of winning, but there's a decent shot that something might happen that could cause things to be a little bit crazy here. 2, honestly, I don't have a lot of confidence in the prediction. It's possible it could possibly be right, but it could just as likely be wrong. And then finally, 1 is low confidence here. I could easily be wrong. And let's be honest, those are going to be shorts and probably Best Actress. So let's take a look at the next one here. Let's start with the Big Six. Now, you notice that my Best Picture is probably different from a lot of people's. And that's mainly because the guilds are pretty strongly leaning towards Coda being Best Picture, winner of Best Picture. After all, it won 3 out of with the Producers Guild and the Screen Actors Guild. I have a feeling that late run towards the guilds will probably push the film in the favor of winning Best Picture. Next up, Best Director. Nothing's really changed. Jane Campion is going to win for Power of the Dog. Feel pretty confident that's going to be the case. Honestly, if there was a real shot at maybe Kenneth Branagh getting in for Belfast, I felt like that film would have probably had a little bit more of a would have been a little bit more of a factor by now. But realistically, I think the person that would probably cause a little bit of restless nights if seeing Hader made the cut for Coda, but obviously that was not the case here. And flashing back to Best Picture real quick, I think realistically there are 3 other films that have a shot. Most likely Power of the Dog would be, let's say, option 2 here. The most likely to take that spot. And then, to a lesser extent, Belfast and West Side Story. I think outside those 4, pretty unlikely it's going to be any of those. Now we move on to Best Actress, and here's a surprise. A person who I didn't even predict was going to get nominated. I now have them predicted to win the whole thing. That's right, Jessica Chastain, in her portrayal of Tammy Faye Baker in The Eyes of Tammy Faye, is probably going to prevail for Best Actress after winning the Screen Actors Guild Award. That should probably be enough, and there's always the factor that, yes, indeed, you're looking at somebody who has never won. Obviously, I think Olivia Colman has a shot at this, and so does Nicole Kidman for being the Ricardos. Now it's fair to say don't really think it's going to be Kristen Spencer. I don't think it's Penelope Cruz, but I think it's just as likely it could be one of those. It could be Kidman or Coleman as it could be Chastain. So we'll just have to wait and see what happens here. Meanwhile, Will Smith's winning a bunch of actors' trophies for King Richard, portraying the coach and the father of Venus and Serena Williams, and I think that will be enough for him to get it. There is a slight chance of a spoiler if, say, Power of the Dog does a lot better than expected. You can see Benedict Cumberbatch maybe sweeping through, or it could be Andrew Garfield for Tick Tick Boom, but likely it's going to be Will Smith. Speaking of pretty much sure things, I think Ariana DeBose, she's been one of the big stories. Want everything in sight for her turn on West Side Story. I think this is actually the same role that Rita Moreno came and ended up winning for the original West Side Story. So, really, I don't think anybody else is going to have a realistic shot here, and that's fair. That's fair play. As for Best Supporting Actor, for the longest time it was Cody Smith-McPhee for The Power of the Dog. That's who I thought would prevail, but then the guild started to happen, and those nominations became awards, and suddenly Troy Kotsur from Coda started to stand out. I think, realistically, it's basically a two-person race. I kind of wonder how much of a factor Jesse Plemons has had since he ended up getting nominated for Power of the Dog. Maybe we're dealing with a vote split here or something. But right now, I think Kotsur is probably going to be one to prevail out of that one. Coming up next would be adapted screen. We're looking at the screenplays, the adapted screenplay. Speaking of surprises, I think Coda is going to prevail here as well. Now, don't get me wrong, Power of the Dog has had a very good script, and a lot of people seem to like it. But hear me out anyway. For starters, Jane Campion, who would win for adapted screenplay, already has an Oscar to her name for the film The Piano in 1994. And I really don't think they're going to give her 2 Academy Awards in one ceremony. Instead, I think they're going to do this. I think they're going to give it to Coda, way they can give Sian Heder their nod here, because they weren't nominated for Best Director. And I and as for Best Original Screenplay, well, I think it's going to be Licorice Pizza, which will give Paul Thomas Anderson his first Academy Award. He's been 0 for 8 so far, and he's had 3 shots here. 1 for Best Picture, 1 for Director, and 1 for Screenplay. I think he'll get in under Screenplay, because that tends to be what people do sometimes. The reason it's only a 3 is because I can see an argument that maybe Kenneth Branagh gets in for Belfast. Really, outside those 2, I don't think anybody's going to cut in here. I mean, Don't Look Up, it's a bit of a long shot. King Richard, Worst Person in the World. Yeah, I think it's going to be Coda and Licorice Pizza prevailing here. And some people, one person who actually is nominated for Best Director, and one person who didn't make the cut somehow. I think both of them are going to get some rewards as a result of it. Coming up next, we're taking a look at the visuals. I am going, as you can see, Dune. Yeah, Dune's going to get a lot of the back of the line stuff, sort of like what happened with Mad Max Fury Road a few years ago. Cinematography, I mean, I'm kind of torn here. Part of me thinks it's going to be Dune. Part of me thinks it's going to be Power of the Dog that gets it. I'm going to give Dune the slight edge largely because it won its guild, but I wouldn't be surprised if it went the other direction. Because after all, Power of the Dog's a Western, and, well, Westerns and cinematography go pretty good together. As for the other 2 categories, film editing and visual effects, likely in both cases it's going to be Dune as well. I think film editing is probably more likely. Almost went with a 5 on that one. Visual effects, obviously there's always the possibility they could give something to, say, Spider-Man No Way Home or Shang-Chi and the Legend of the Ten Rings. Or maybe even No Time to Die. But as I see it right now, it's going to be Dune's going to start its run right here. Not yet. Okay. Now we take a look at the next category. It's going to be audio. One of the sure bets I have a feeling is the No Time to Die theme song. The James Bond one, done by Billie Eilish and her brother Finian. I got a feeling that's going to easily take the field here. I kind of wonder what would happen if they had, if the folks behind Encanto nominated We Don't Talk About Bruno instead of Dos or Guidas. Is it quite possible that we could be doing with, because I think that might be the one way this would be more of a nail biter. But as it is, it's pretty likely it's just going to be Billie Eilish taking the trophy here. And by the way, the person behind Somehow You Do from the film 4 Good Days, Diane Warren, she is about to go 0 for 13 when it comes to Academy Awards. And in case you're wondering, Susan Lucci, the person that was probably best known as the person that kept losing year in and year out for daytime Emmys for All My Children, finally broke through in her 19th attempt. Hopefully it doesn't take 19 attempts for Diane Warren to prevail here. Speaking of which, you want to set the score right, just call Hans Zimmer, because I got a feeling Dune is going to prevail here for best score. And believe it or not, this is only going to be the second Academy Award that Hans Zimmer won. The first one, believe it or not, is for The Lion King, way back in 1994. I found that to be really interesting because, let's be honest, when you're thinking of Zimmer, you're thinking of live action stuff like, say, Inception. You're not thinking of something like animated musicals from Disney, but apparently that's how he won his Academy Award. And best sound, once again, it's going to probably be Dune. With, I think, West Side Story, No Time to Die, probably bowing it out for second place. Next up, we're going to take a look at the technicals. Kind of as you can see, a bit more of a mixed bag here. Costume design, right now it appears the favorite, and my vote is going for Cruella. Obviously, the Disney take on the villainess behind the 101 Dalmatians is going to probably prevail here over Dune and West Side Story. Makeup and hairstyle? Well, as it turns out, even if Jessica Chastain somehow loses, the Eyes of Tammy Faye is going to get themselves an Academy Award here for Best Makeup and Hairstyle. As obviously, I think the guild tends to go more for flash than more simple, more subtle, simple techniques. Edo will prevail over Dune and Cruella. And then last but not least, production design. Yep, once again, you guessed it, it's Dune. Alright, and now we're going to take a look at the best pictures in other categories. Best animated film, pretty safe bet it's going to be Encanto. I mean, there's a possibility that Flea or maybe the Mitchells versus the Machines gets in, but likely they're going to award the folks behind We Don't Talk About Bruno and all that. I think that's going to prevail, giving Disney another W here. Best international film, quite likely it's going to be Drive My Car. In fact, I would probably place a small bet on it, to be honest with you. I mean, there's films like The Worst Person in the World and trying to think what else, Flea. But at the end of the day, I think they're the fact that it won a best picture nomination. I think they're gonna give it. They're gonna give the Oscar to Drive My Car as some sort of way to compensate for not winning. And then you got Flea. Yes, that's right. I'm going with Flea ahead of Summer Soul for Best Documentary. This is one area that I think it could be a huge surprise. A lot of people are thinking it's going to be the Questlove documentary that prevails. And, well, I'll be honest with you, it's only a 2 because I think it's a decent possibility that it could prevail. But usually the documentaries, it's not the film that everyone thinks is a heavy favorite that ultimately wins it out. It's usually something else that's in the mix. My gut is you don't nominate a film for 3 Academy Awards and not give it an Oscar, and this would be the most likely category that it would get it for, since the other 2 are pretty much already spoken for and have been for a while. I would not be surprised if we prevail, but then again, like I said, 2 out of 5, not a lot of confidence. It could just as easily be Summer or So, or perhaps even one of the other 3 nominees. And now, last but not least, we're going to take a look at the shorts. And all these are one because, you know what? I don't have a freaking clue. I don't. I think the Riz Ahmed led Long Goodbye will probably win Best Live Action Short, Best Animated Short. I'm going with Windshield Wiper. I notice a lot of people think it's Robin, and fair play to that. And for Best Documentary Short, we're going to go with the Netflix's 3 Songs for Benazir. All 3 of which who I think have shots of winning, but as you can see, I have 0 to no confidence in it because, well, though all 3 categories have been a cluster from the word go. When it was time to actually come up with the nominations, boy howdy were they all tricky to do. And now that it's actually here, trying to pick a winner out of 5, yes, it's still a complete and utter crapshoot. What can I say? At least the shorts are consistent. I have a couple announcements I need to make here. Tonight, I'm at Sunday, March 27th. Be sure to save the date. We're going to discuss the Oscars on Twitch from 6:30 p.m. to 10 p.m. Central Time. Obviously, if you live in the UK, you're going to be up late because it starts at 11:30 and it ends around 3 in the morning. So it's going to be a lot of fun. We're going to talk about films. We're going to talk about what's happening and maybe share how well we're doing on the Oscar polls and stuff. And yes, I also have content on YouTube. Not only do I have a film review channel, Tickets Plays Reviews, I also have a gaming channel as well, where you can find my stuff on Twitch usually, Tickets Plays Gaming. Yes, I'm indeed on Twitch as well under the name Tickets Plays. And we got more review content to come, starting with something I call Tickets Great Films. That's going to be like 50 or so films that I think is particularly well done. And we're going to give you 2-3 minute clips on each of them and maybe do another expanded one for the top 10. And then we're going to tackle regular reviews. Right now I'm trying to make my way through the Oscar nominees. And last but not least, be sure to check out Skewed Views. That's something that we take a look at your favorite films, take a look at through a skewed lens, and then try to see where everything ends up. It's definitely going to make for some content you're willing to talk about and everything. Anyway, I thank you for thank you for, as always, for being able to watch. Be sure to hit the notification button if you want to find out more of our content, and by all means, be sure to like, subscribe, and spread the word. We'll see you next time on Tickets, Boys Reviews as the